A C-SPAN caller yesterday made an emotional plea directly to the Speaker of the House, asking for military families to receive their pay during the shutdown. The woman told the Speaker she's a military spouse with 2 medically fragile children and that her family lives paycheck to paycheck.
And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military is getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right, Samantha.
Samantha, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. The Democrats are the ones that are preventing you from getting a check. If we did a vote on the floor to pay troops, it's not a lawmaking exercise because Chuck Schumer is going to hold that up in the Senate. He is demonstrating by voting now 6 times to keep the government closed that he does not want the troops to be paid. And you should listen to his comments last night, as reported this morning. He is enjoying this. He said every day gets better for us, quote unquote. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are preventing your family from getting the care they need, not Republicans, and my heart goes out to you.
And just so you know, Politico is reporting that House Democrats are preparing a letter to you, Speaker Johnson, urging a vote on troop pay.
Yeah, you know why they are? Because they all voted on the record 3 weeks ago to stop pay for the troops. They're desperate to try to get on record, but that would be a show vote for Democrats. They do not care about it. They demonstrated that with their votes. Look at what they do and how they vote, not what they say.
Then on a conference call yesterday with House Republicans, Johnson made it clear he doesn't plan on passing a standalone bill to pay the troops before Wednesday. That's when military personnel are set to miss their first paychecks. That's according to 2 Republican sources on the call. I want to bring in Annalise Keller. She's a former communications director for Republican Senator Cory Gardner, and also with us, former Democratic Congressman Max Rose of New York. Thank you both for being here to break down the week. This is very much in your wheelhouse as both former congressional people on various sides. Annalise, I want to start with you there. I think this is the thing that has been so shocking to me about this shutdown is that pain doesn't feel like a motivator at this point. Like, it was heartbreaking to listen to the speaker hear that. I know from Democrats that they are hearing the same kind of things at home where people are saying, I don't actually care about the politics. I would just like the government to function the way that I need it to and not have to think about you guys. But why does this one feel so different?
Yeah, it does feel different. There doesn't feel to be a lot of pain yet. I think next week things are going to start to shift, but I'm not confident that anything is really going to change. One of those reasons is because we have shut down the government over the last, since 2013 when I was on the Hill, which was the first time since the Gingrich era, which we navigated a lot of those challenges to figure out how to make sure people were paid and that furlough pay was back paid. So we figured out some of those things that I think made it, very difficult to engage in a shutdown. And now these are really seen as, a political sort of maneuver to try and get a policy goal, which is not typically successful for the party instigating it.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's not typically successful for the party instigating it. And yet at the same time, you also hear people say, well, Republicans have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. Why can't they do something here? It ignores the fact that you need 60 votes in the Senate, which, of course, is the procedural reality. But, Congressman, how do you feel that Democrats have played their hands on this? I think I have spoken to some who agree that Schumer's quote there was a misstep, because I am one who argues that no one actually wins in a shutdown.
Sure. I mean, I don't think individual quotes here are what matters. When you have a legislative package, which is the way that Congress normally functions, these things are thousands of pages long, and honestly, many members of Congress aren't sure exactly what's in there when they vote for them. During a shutdown, it's exactly the opposite. Things get whittled down to very, very targeted decision points. And the decision for the Republicans is shockingly simple, even just from a pure political calculation, which is, do you want to continue to have the suffering associated with a shutdown, or do you just want to give people their health care back? Like, it's not as if the Democrats are asking for something that is like a political third rail in this sense, where the Republicans will have to make some type of political sacrifice. Throw on top of that just a simple vote to pay the troops, And yet again, the Republicans continue to play politics here. And I think what this ultimately brings it back to is two things that have nothing to do with true pay or health care. One, they don't want to vote on the Epstein files. That's why the speakers continue to keep Congress shut down. And two, they needed pay-fors for their big, beautiful bill, an egregious tax cut for the wealthiest amongst us. And those pay-fors came from cutting health care for Americans.
Can we tackle, Annalise, the way that the Epstein files are sort of always in the background up here, in large part because the Speaker has been receiving pressure this week, A, for not having House Republicans back here at all. It's something that even his own members on a conference call yesterday said, I actually think we need to be there. I'm hearing from my constituents saying, why are you guys not working in Washington, despite the fact that, as the Speaker will remind, they don't actually have something tangibly to work on at this point when it comes to the shutdown. They're waiting for the Senate. But does he risk losing the messaging battle because he's holding that leverage point? And on the Epstein files, how problematic is it that he's still saying he won't swear in this Democratic member from Arizona who would be the 218th vote on that discharge petition?
Yeah, I mean, the Epstein files are obviously still in the mix here. Yeah. But I think the bigger risk to Johnson that he recognizes, and he even said as much, is the concern with messaging in terms of bringing the members back. I mean, we saw the exchange between Leader Jeffries and Rep. Lawler that played out in a very public way in the hallway. So I actually think as long as he can get away with keeping members away, I think he recognizes it's more difficult to control the conference if they're in Washington because they're not going to have a lot to do. I mean, there are a few, there's some bills that they could bring up, but when the government is shut down, I mean, I'll maybe caveat that by saying we saw the Senate pass the NDAA, this big defense bill on a big bipartisan vote last night. So there could be some chances to work together, but I would not anticipate that with sort of the makeup of the Republicans in the House right now. I think it would be a really difficult thing for Speaker Johnson to wrangle to keep everybody on message. And so I think what he wants to do is just allow Democrats to own the shutdown, because really what they need to do is the impasse is in the Senate. I mean, we can talk about how what leaders say and doesn't matter, but I think it does. It does matter what leaders are saying right now, that they're taking this seriously and recognizing the need to reopen the government. And that impasse right now is among a small handful of Democrats in the Senate, because remember, this is simply a 7-week Biden-level spending measure with nothing added onto it. So as Johnson said, Speaker Johnson, there's really not a lot to negotiate there, because it's not as if he could take something out of the bill to appease Democrats. Yeah. This is just to reopen the government.
I think the question is that Democrats need assurances from Republicans at a time where trust is at an all-time low, if it exists at all, between the two parties. But I want to stay on this Adelita Grijalva question with you, Congressman. What does it tell you that he's not sworn her in yet, when the precedent was set even just earlier this Congress that Republicans were sworn in after special elections during pro forma sessions? Is there more there to this than just Epstein? What are you seeing here?
Yeah, of course, the Speaker doesn't want to do his job. Right, nor the constitutional imperative of the House of Representatives is for it to be a standalone body that represents the will of the people. Speaker Johnson has transitioned it into a fully owned subsidiary of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. And so here, what Donald Trump has explicitly said is, one, we can't have any movement on the Epstein files. I don't even care if it means that new members of Congress should not be sworn in. And two, we want to cease all congressional business to try to prevent Americans from getting their health care back. So Speaker Johnson is just absent, and he has forced all of his Republican colleagues to do the same. What's shocking here is that is horrible politics. Every day they're sending a message to their constituents that they are lazy and they are absent from work. And I don't think this can last for much longer.
I don't think it can last for much longer, but I do also think, and you just look at the days on the calendar now, the fact that they're not going to be back voting on this until Tuesday, it guarantees that we're in a 2-week shutdown at least. And in my conversations privately with members of Congress, both sides seem pretty ensconced and confident in their political positioning here. I think, yes, the October 18th, the day that those missed checks would next happen, is circled on my calendar, but I'm not entirely sure that the pain packs the punch to move votes in the way that it has in past shutdowns. I think both of you have sort of underscored that, given your expertise in the building. So we're going to see where this goes, but I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon, unfortunately. I want to leave it there for now. Former Congressman Max Rose and Annalise Keller, thank you both for joining us.